Good morning, everyone. This is Frank Tico's Dropping Knowledge coming at you once again with another message, dropping a little bit of knowledge. And once again, thanking everyone that's been watching my videos, that's been hitting the like, that's been leaving a comment, that's been subscribing. Those of you that have subscribed, I really thank you. We're at 330 subscribers now, which is for me is great. It's the most that I've ever seen, obviously. And it's crazy because even though I'm a small channel that's starting up, that's starting to put content out there, I already have people not just interacting with me that I've never spoken to, but I also have people creating parody accounts. And I guess what my content or my presence is doing is ruffling feathers, and that's fine. I knew that this was part of the territory, but that's not going to stop me, and I'm going to continue putting out content, right? Today, I wanted to take some time just to talk a little bit about myself, maybe drop some knowledge, right? Because that's what I claim to do, and I think I do. Just regarding why I do what I do, why I am the way I am, and how the person that you see in front of your camera is the person that I've always been. In Proverbs 1:7, one of the first thing that it says is, or what it says is the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Right? So I'm not here to call anyone a fool. I'm not here to judge anyone, but I will say that if it bothers people when someone comes out trying to put a different spin, trying to be a little more positive, not engaging in the trolling and the attacks, like, straight up lies and, the buffoonery, if it bothers you, then I understand. And sometimes emotional intelligence is a factor. There are things that we have not overcome. But for me, the fear of the Lord was one of the first waking up points in my process to being the man that I am today. And that process started in a cell in Wasco when I was in reception, and I was in the same cell with my crimey, which is something that you never see, right? Even in the county jail, they separated us. We weren't even in the same buildings together. We would only meet up to go to court. So when we ended up, transpacking and being shipped out, I remember going first to, made a stop at Kern County, and I was with people I didn't know, obviously. And then when we finally touched down at Wasco, and I went through R&R and all of that, and they ended up putting me in the cell with my crimey, with the, my, and it was my closest friend. And my other two crimies were in the building next to us, also in the same cell. So I don't know what was going on, to be honest with you. I attribute that to the process that had already begun in my life, that personal relationship that was starting to develop with God, but I had not seen it yet. I didn't understand it yet. It was just strange to me, and it was strange to everyone that we explained that to, because they're like, "What? So you guys are homies? I mean, we're crimies. What? You're crimies? How are you guys in the same cell?" But God works in mysterious ways. The knowledge of God had come to me previously, but I had rejected it. I was watching this live where there's this guy that was talking to APA. Shout out to APA, and he was talking to him about Christ and trying to convert him over the phone, whatever. And APA was saying stuff like, you know what, but I'm not ready. And he had a lot of arguments towards not doing it. And I was gonna leave a comment and I didn't, because that's what I sounded like back then, right? I had built this idea that all religion was bad. I had studied other works, not just, I had studied the Bible, but always looking for contradictions. I had studied other works to kind of have like an insight, but more of a way of blocking anyone's intent of trying to take me to church. I had grown up in the Catholic home, and to me, there was not much God in that relationship and us going to Mass, but that's just me. That was my experience. That's what I'm talking about, my personal experience. But when we got to Wasco and we got celled up with, together with my homeboy, rest in peace. I found out a few last year, as a matter of fact, that he passed away in an accident. So, I think I'm going to dedicate this to the memory of my friend because when we were in the same cell together in Wasco, he explained to me that while we were in LA County, he had been in study, Bible study with these other guys, right? And he was carrying along with it. He explained it to me, and I was like, all right, that's cool, bro. I mean, whatever you got to do, man, because I know that he was stressing out. This was his first time. We had been facing life in prison, so he was really, really stressed out. He was younger than me, but he had two kids. I didn't have kids yet. I was, I thank God for that I didn't have children before I got locked up. But he did, so he was stressed out over that. He would stress out over the mail not coming in on time. And I realized that, he was young and he was really going through it. I had already done time as a juvenile, so that experience helped me cope with it. So I had that knowledge, right? Knowledge comes in all forms. Sometimes it comes in the form of parables, but we'll get to that. So, but he was struggling with learning the word because they had given him one of those um, I had the name right on my mouth too. The Bibles that they give out in prison. Gideon. He had a Gideon Bible, one of those brown, big brown Gideon Bibles that you also find at hotels, like those little blue New Testament. Those are Gideon. Gideon put those out. But they also make Bibles, and he had an old um, King James version Gideon Bible. So a lot of the text and it was like a 1940 edition. So it was really, really old English, in the verses. So I would help him because he knew that I could read, that I was smart, if you could say it that way. That I had the ability because they had seen me interact with people. Sometimes they were, man, you're a fool. Like, you get down, whatever. Because I would talk to people, but at their level, and it would surprise them because, I wasn't always acting the fool. I had some reasoning, and I think that had always been something that had God had given me was just the patience and to be able to understand how people speak and some of their intentions behind their wording. So I started doing Bible study with him. Like me, non-Christian, was helping my friend who had just turned Christian in Bible study, out explaining to him what the verses meant, going back and forth. And that started within me the desire to keep learning the Bible. So the fear of the Lord and the knowledge of his existence and the acceptance of it is what got me on this path to where I am today. But it all started in that small cell. And I remember when we finally went to our first service together because they had a lot of like masses, like Catholic mass, and I had remembered because I was thinking intellectually um, about Martin Luther and how he protested against the church. And I remembered the word Protestant. I'm like, I think we need to go to a Protestant service. And sure enough, one Sunday, a specific Sunday, and I would like to say that was a Sunday in which everything started new for me. We ended up going, and I ended up accepting the Lord. And to me, that was a surprise because that was not my intention. I was just going to go, accompany my friend with, maybe help explain whatever, but the message rang true to me, and I felt, and maybe I'll share my moment of realization that I had at that time in another video. But clearly I believed, and clearly I accepted the Lord, and clearly I went back to the cell a different person, a changed man with a different set of goals in mind. And even though the rest of my time I was on the main line, and there were things that, that had to be done, I did not lose my faith, and I would pray for a lot of things that, thank God, have become fruitful in my life. So that interaction, just interacting with my friend, and trying to show him something that he was really needed of, because he needed to know, he was thirsty for the word, allowed me to be a factor for him, a bridge for him to gain that understanding. And I realized that that was a strength of mine, was to be able to break complicated things down and help people understand it better, assimilate better, so that they can become better at what they do. And all of these things help form who I became and who I've become. And I've used a lot of that in my personal and my professional dealings, because it really requires patience sometimes to make someone understand something that is foreign to them. Just like I know that to some people it's foreign to them, that I'm not going that I don't crash out. For them, for people, maybe even for you that are watching this, my persona and how I come across to you may seem, I don't know, made up. But it wouldn't be fair for me to make up a persona to discuss things about my life and to discuss things I want to share with you, because I think you need to get it from me, from who I am, from the real me, right? Um, I wish I would have spent more time with the home. I wish that we would have gotten out together and shared time. Our kids shared time together. His kids would have been way older than mine, obviously. But, to be able to spend time with him, and he's no longer here. I hope that how he lived the rest of his life was good. I hope he enjoyed his life. I hope he enjoyed freedom. And I know that if he wholeheartedly accepted Jesus Christ in his heart, then he's in a good place. That's what I believe. That's my belief process. Knowledge comes in different ways. You know, um, Jesus spoke to the people in parables. What are parables? They're like fables, like Aesop's fables that have a moral at the end. Jesus's parables were designed to give someone a glimpse as to the truth behind the Word of God. Because even since then, and even till this day, the Word of God is used to sow division and to cause confusion sometimes. And back in those days, those that held power and seats of authority were the rabbis, were the teachers, were the Pharisees. And you would notice a sharp contrast, because once again, Jesus spoke to people in parables, but he spoke to those that knew the Word of God with the Word of God and challenged them with it. Which is why I'm here today and telling you this. I will choose the manner in which I put out my content. But for those of you that know better, I'm going to talk to you directly. And I will challenge you directly because you know better. As far as, the way that I present my stories, the way that I present my content, it comes from a place of understanding and knowing that something in all of these clips, some of the messages, some of the text that I put in there, people are going to understand. Someone's going to walk away with something of this. And that's why I do what I do. I believe in redemption. I believe that if you're still alive and you decide today to turn your whole life around, maybe you've been at home and lazy, trying to get your YouTube career off and running, and putting all your eggs into that basket, and you're not seeing so much traction, and your bills are due, maybe you need to get a job. That's knowledge. Get a job. If you're watching my video or you're watching anyone else's video and what you feel inside, instead of learning good or whatever is good from the video or whatever is bad from the video, and you realize that that video is showing you something bad, but if your urge is to attack the person and to go after that person, maybe that speaks on things that you need to deal with. Okay, and that's okay, right? Why do I go at certain people? I think I've already made that clear. It's because I believe that when we're given a platform, when we create a platform, because here we create the platform, but once people start interacting, responding, then now they're giving you a platform. I'm being given a platform by the people that are subscribing and watching these videos. And once that platform is constructed, you have a responsibility to keep things true, to keep things positive, if you come from the place that we come from. And if your intention, like I said in yesterday's video, was to be an agent of positive change in this space. I'm not concerned with the trolls. I know that there are certain people that have already taken a dislike towards me, who probably think I'm fake, and that's okay. Once again, this is not my life, this is not my world. But I will put out content that I believe is important. And I thought that it was important to understand this. If if you're going to get anything from my video, is this. Take advantage of the times that you're given with people, either to learn from them or to teach them. Take advantage of that time. Make it the best time that you can. Make sure to appreciate it, because sometimes don't those times don't come too often. No, I wish I had more time with my friend, but that's never going to happen. And but I don't regret that what took us to the point of spending that time together and of coming together to the realization that we needed God in our lives, that to me is a precious gem that's stored in the treasure that I have up there in heaven. That's how I see it. And that's why I move the way I move. Because just like that homie who was looking for answers, who needed answers and had questions, and I was able to help at that moment in time for him to understand certain things, then I'm going to continue being that person on this platform. I'm not going to lead you down the path of misinformation. I'm always going to talk to you with the truth and with the utmost respect. And if you're a bad faith actor, trolling or commenting, you don't deserve my commentary or my reaction. And you're not going to see me come at you because, or at least not lash out at you the way I see other people do. I might create a video, I might laugh about it, and I'll carry on. I hope that those of you that are watching do take the gems from this, right? Believe that what you can provide others is good. Now, if all you have to give is criticism, or jealousy or anger, then you really have to inspect, do some introspection and ask yourself, what am I getting out of this? Where is this leading me to? Right? Is this what I was meant to do? Is this who I'm supposed to be? Because I had to ask myself a lot of those questions sitting in a cell. How is this who I am? I remember reading in the Bible where it says that the wicked were created for the day of judgment. And I thought, if I'm wicked, then maybe there is no resolution for me, because if I'm one of those that was created for destruction, then maybe there is no second chance for me. And I learned that that was not right. Sometimes you have to question your own belief systems to make sure that they're true. If your belief systems leads you to hate others, you might have to question that belief system. If from your time dealing with people, all you get is aggravation and annoyance, what's triggering that inside of you? But that's knowledge that you have to figure out for yourself. How you're going to do it, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through counseling, whether it's through prayer, whatever it takes, you're going to have to end up figuring it out because that negativity is going to eat at you from the inside. And it's not going to affect anyone else as bad as it's going to affect you. So I just wanted to take the time to let you guys know just a little bit more about me and throw a message in there. And we just got to keep doing what we're doing. That's why I take offense to people that call themselves Christian, but their behavior online is totally opposite to that. Or people that claim to be Christian and they want to hit you over the head with the Bible, but have no love in their heart and no desire to understand you or to understand what you're on, because in their mind they've already judged you. If you're a Christian of that caliber, we're cool. You're good. You do your thing, man. But that's not me. You know, I judge based on experience, and after I've already made attempts to talk to someone, and that person ignores it or contradicts it, knowing that they're wrong, and I see them on YouTube being an influence, I will speak on it because I believe that that's what I've been called to do. And as long as that's my faith, and as long as I believe that God blesses me to do that, people can talk, people can say, people control, but that's not going to stop me from dropping knowledge. Hope you guys have a great day. Hope you enjoy this content. Please like it. Please leave a comment. And I hope, like every day, that all of you do great and are blessed and you stay blessed. Peace.